There is a word that has been echoing through the corridors of eternity since before the foundations of this world were laid, and that word is yours. It has your name written upon it. It carries your exact shape, your exact dimension, your exact color, and fragrance, and weight. It was spoken into existence by the infinite intelligence that breathed life into your nostrils, and it has been traveling toward you through time and space since the very moment your soul was first imagined in the mind of God. Florence Scovel Shinn knew this. She walked in this. She taught this with a clarity and a boldness that shook the sleeping masses of her age, and she declared without apology that the game of life is not a game of chance. It is not a game of struggle. It is not a game of survival where only the cunning win and the gentle are crushed. The game of life, she said, is a game of boomerangs. Your thoughts, your words, your images, your dominant inner pictures, they go out from you with the speed of lightning, and they return to you laden with exactly what you have been sending. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. This is the law. This is the immutable, unbreakable, ancient law of the universe, and it operates with mathematical precision in your life, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you welcome it or not. And so we must begin here, at the very root of all things, at the place where your word becomes your world. Florence Scovel Shinn declared boldly that your word is your wand. Not the wand of fairy tales, not the wand of imagination disconnected from reality, but the wand of divine creative power that was given to you as your birthright the moment you arrived on this earth, as a spiritual being having a human experience. Every word you speak is a decree. Every sentence you utter is a command sent out into the invisible substance of the universe, and the universe, which is nothing but responsive, receptive, obedient, divine substance, shapes itself around your command and sends back to you precisely what you have ordered. This is why the careless word has cost so many their harvest. This is why the fearful declaration has robbed so many of their divine inheritance. This is why people walk through this life saying, "I never have enough. I am always sick. Nothing ever works for me. Nobody ever helps me. I am unlucky. I cannot catch a break." And the universe, faithful and precise as it is, says, "So be it. Your word is my command." And it continues to produce the harvest of their own planting. But hear this, and hear it with every fiber of your being. The moment you become conscious, truly conscious, spiritually awakened and alert to the power of your spoken word, everything shifts. The moment you begin to speak from the superconscious mind, from that high place of divine knowing where fear has no residence and lack has no address, the universe begins to reorganize itself on your behalf. The winds change, the tides turn. The invisible doors that appeared to be walls begin to swing open on silent, well-oiled hinges. And you stand in astonishment, watching your world rearrange itself to match the new picture you have been holding, the new word you have been speaking, the new faith you have been wearing as a garment. This is not luck, this is law. This is the law of the Word made flesh, the law of the invisible becoming visible, the law of the God substance within you, reaching out through the medium of your faith and transforming the without to match the within. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that there are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. The subconscious is the seat of your habits, your patterns, your deeply buried beliefs, the recordings that have played in the background of your life since childhood. The conscious is where your reasoning, your logic, your ordinary thinking takes place. But the superconscious, the superconscious, that is the God mind within you. That is the place where perfect ideas live. That is the place where your perfect health already exists, where your perfect prosperity already waits, where your perfect relationships already bloom in eternal fullness, where every answer to every question you have ever asked is already prepared and ready for delivery. The superconscious mind is not somewhere above you. It is not locked behind some spiritual achievement you must earn after years of suffering and sacrifice. It is within you. It has always been within you. It is you in your highest, truest, most divine expression. And the moment you learn to go there, the moment you learn to speak from that high place, to see from that high altitude, to love from that great depth, you discover that the universe has been waiting eagerly to respond to the real you, the magnificent you, the you that was made in the image and likeness of infinite good. Now let us speak plainly about faith, because faith is the currency of the kingdom. Faith is not hope. This distinction is everything, and too many people have confused these two things, and therefore remained in the waiting room of their good, when their good was already prepared and ready at the front door. Hope says, I wish it would happen. I believe it might happen. I am doing my best to believe it will happen. But faith, real faith, the faith that Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of, the faith that moves the unmovable and brings the invisible into the visible, real faith says, it is already done. It is already mine. I thank God for it now, before I see it with my physical eyes, before it touches my physical hands, before it appears on the screen of my physical world. Real faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and it is active. It is vibrant. It is bold. It is the faith of a person who has already taken delivery of their good in the invisible realm, and who knows with absolute certainty that the visible must follow. This is what the metaphysicians knew. This is what the great teachers of spiritual law understood. The invisible always precedes the visible. The cause always precedes the effect. The inner always creates the outer. You do not change your circumstances by fighting your circumstances. You change your circumstances by changing your inner picture, by changing the dominant vibration of your consciousness, by speaking a new word into the silence of the infinite and holding that word steady with the unwavering conviction of one who knows. Florence Scovel Shinn put it this way: intuition is a spiritual faculty and does not explain, but simply points the way. And faith is the engine that drives you down that pointed way without demanding to see the entire road before you take a single step. Faith takes the step, and then the next step is illuminated, and then the next. And this is how the miraculous life is lived, not all at once in a blinding flash of certainty, but step by faithful step, word by powerful word, image by glorious image. You must understand that your imagination is your most powerful creative tool, not your intellect, not your education, not your connections, not your bank account, not your background. Your imagination, the ability to picture, to feel, to sense, to dwell in the reality of your desire as though it has already manifested. This is the throne room of your creative power. Neville Goddard walked alongside the teachings of Scovel Shinn in this understanding, and both pointed to the same eternal truth: that the world you experience is nothing but your imagination, pushed outward and hardened into form. The moment you change what you are imagining, you change what you are creating. The moment you see yourself healthy in your mind's eye, a healing force goes to work in your body. The moment you see yourself prosperous in your mind's eye, a wealth-attracting frequency goes out from you into the field of infinite possibility and begins arranging circumstances, opening doors, attracting people, creating opportunities that your reasoning mind could never have engineered on its own. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn said with such conviction, I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way. I give wonderful service for wonderful pay. That affirmation was not merely a pleasant saying. It was a mold. It was a decree cast in the invisible substance of the universe. It was a creative word spoken by a conscious creator who understood that the universe does not respond to your need. It responds to your word. It responds to your dominant inner picture. It responds to the feeling tone of your consciousness, to the frequency at which you are vibrating, to the story you are telling most consistently and most passionately about yourself and your life. And so she spoke boldly. She spoke with authority. She spoke from the superconscious place of already received, already done, already manifested good. Now, there is something that must be addressed with the greatest tenderness and the greatest firmness all at once, because it is the one thing that stands between you and everything you have ever dreamed of. It is the one thief that has robbed more divine inheritances than any other force in the human experience. It is fear. Fear is the anti-faith. Fear is faith turned inside out, faith in the wrong direction, faith in the reality and permanence and power of lack, limitation, sickness, failure, rejection, and loss. Every time you feel afraid, you are exercising faith, but you are exercising it in the direction of the very thing you do not want. You are declaring with the force of your feeling, I believe this bad thing is real. I believe it has power over me. I believe it is coming for me. And the law, faithful and impartial as it is, says, so be it. And the thing you feared begins to take shape in your world. Florence Scovel Shinn was absolutely uncompromising on this point. She taught that fear is the only enemy. Not the economy, not your past, not your enemies, not your circumstances, not your lack of education, or resources, or connections. Fear. Fear is the only true poverty, the only true sickness, the only true limitation, because when you fear, you close the channel through which your good flows. When you fear, you place yourself in opposition to the divine current that is always moving in the direction of your highest good. When you fear, you say to the universe, I do not believe your goodness can reach me. I do not believe the supply is sufficient. I do not believe I am worthy, or capable, or chosen. And the universe, operating by law rather than emotion, must take your word for it. But here is the magnificent truth that changes everything. You can choose again. At any moment, in any circumstance, no matter how dire the outer picture, no matter how loud the voice of lack, no matter how persistent the appearance of failure, you can turn, you can pivot, you can speak a new word, you can choose a new inner picture. You can declare with authority from the throne of your superconscious mind, this situation is divinely adjusted. I release all fear. I trust in the goodness of infinite intelligence. I know that my supply is already prepared. I know that my healing is already accomplished. I know that my right doors are opening now. I know that divine love is dissolving every obstacle and clearing my path. And as you speak this, as you feel this, as you hold this with the steadiness of true faith, the outer picture begins to bend. The outer circumstances begin to shift. The invisible machinery of the universe begins to work on your behalf in ways that will astonish you, in ways your reasoning mind could never have predicted or planned. This is what it means to live by divine law rather than human law. Human law says you must work and struggle and fight and compete and prove yourself and earn your way inch by painful inch up the ladder of a system designed to keep most people at the bottom. Divine law says you are already enough. You are already chosen. You are already the heir to an infinite estate. Your good is already prepared. Your right place already exists. Your right people are already moving toward you. Your right opportunities are already taking shape in the invisible realm right now, in this very moment, and they are rushing toward you on the wings of your faith with the speed of divine love. You do not have to earn them. You do not have to deserve them by some external standard of worthiness. You have to receive them. You have to open your hands, open your heart, open your mouth, and receive them with the joy and the confidence and the radical trust of a child who knows without any shadow of doubt that their parents' supply is inexhaustible. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke often of the divine design. She believed, with absolute conviction, that there is a perfect plan for every human life, that before you arrived here, the infinite intelligence that is your source, sketched out in the invisible, the exact blueprint of your highest expression, your greatest joy, your most magnificent contribution. She called it the divine design, and she insisted that it is real, that it is specific, that it contains your perfect health, your perfect wealth, your perfect love, your perfect creative expression, your perfect place in the divine scheme of things. And she also insisted that this divine design is trying to reach you. It is pressing toward you. It is knocking at the door of your consciousness. The only thing that prevents it from manifesting fully in your world is your own resistance to it. Your own fear, your own doubt, your own grip on lesser things, your own insistence on clinging to the small and the familiar, because the small and the familiar feel safe even when it is slowly suffocating the life of your spirit. This is why she taught the practice of releasing your grip on how your good must come, releasing your attachment to the form your blessing must take, releasing your insistence that God must use this particular channel or that particular person or this particular circumstance to bring your supply. Because God, infinite intelligence, divine love, the great creative force of the universe, whatever name you choose to give to the source of all good, is not limited to your channels. It is not restricted to your timelines. It is not confined to your methods. It can bring your right job through a person you have never met, who lives in a city you have never visited, who happens to be looking for exactly the gift you carry. It can bring your healing through a practitioner you discover by what seems like accident on a morning when everything felt hopeless. It can bring your supply through a completely unexpected avenue that your logical mind never would have entertained as a possibility. This is the nature of the infinite. It operates from abundance, not from scarcity. It operates from creativity, not from convention. It operates from love, not from fear. And when you release your grip and let it work, when you stop trying to manage and control every detail of the delivery and simply hold the faith that the delivery is certain and trust the source to choose the method, miracles happen, not occasionally, consistently, predictably, as reliably as the sunrise. Let us speak now about the spoken word in greater depth, because this is the cornerstone of everything Florence Scovel Shinn taught. She did not merely suggest that your words have power, she demonstrated it. She showed through her work as a practitioner and teacher that specific, deliberate, faith-filled words, spoken with authority from the superconscious mind, could cut through years of accumulated limitation and set a person free in a single moment. She showed that a right word, spoken at the right time, in the right consciousness, could dissolve a debt, heal a body, restore a relationship, open a door, attract a blessing, and change the entire trajectory of a life. Not because the words themselves were magical incantations divorced from the consciousness behind them, but because words spoken from true faith are the most powerful creative force available to a human being. They carry the authority of the divine. They carry the conviction of the superconscious. They carry the vibration of the already manifested, and they go out into the responsive universe and begin immediately to build their likeness in form. This is why your daily declarations matter so enormously. This is why what you say to yourself in the quiet of the morning, in the middle of the night, when fear visits, in the middle of the challenge, when everything looks impossible, this is why it matters more than any external strategy, more than any plan, more than any course of action. Because the external follows the internal. The world follows the word. The form follows the thought. And when you begin each day with a deliberate, conscious, faith-filled declaration of your divine rights, your divine supply, your divine health, your divine wisdom and guidance, when you make this a practice, a discipline, a spiritual habit, as regular and non-negotiable as breathing, your life cannot remain the same. It is impossible for the outer world to remain unchanged when the inner world has been transformed. The law does not permit it. The universe is too responsive, too faithful, too perfectly precise in its operation to leave an inner change without an outer expression. So begin to speak, begin to declare, begin to say with the authority of one who has awakened to their divine nature, I am the child of the living God, and I lack nothing. Divine love now dissolves every obstacle and makes smooth my way. My supply is unlimited, and it comes from God through unexpected channels. My body is a perfect idea in the mind of God, and it is manifesting its perfection now. My right place is seeking me, and I am guided there by divine love. I release all fear, and I trust completely in the infinite goodness of God. Everything I need is already prepared. Everything I desire is already on its way. Every door that belongs to me is already opening. Every person who is meant to bless me is already being guided to me. I am aligned with the divine current of my good. I receive it now with gratitude and joy. Say these things, feel these things, mean these things, return to these things every time the outer world tempts you to believe a smaller story. Florence Scovel Shinn called this holding the vision. She said you must hold the vision with the persistence of one who knows they are right, with the joy of one who has already seen the end from the beginning, with the gratitude of one who has already received the gift and is simply waiting for the wrapping paper to be removed. This is the spiritual posture of the conscious manifester. This is the stance of the one who has learned to live by divine law rather than by appearances. And it is a posture you can choose right now, in this moment, regardless of what your outer world currently looks like. Because here is the truth that the fearful mind refuses to believe but the faithful heart already knows. Your circumstances are not the truth about you. They are the echo of what you have been thinking and speaking and believing in the past. They are old news. They are last season's harvest from last season's planting. And the moment you change your planting, you change your harvest. You do not have to wait for the circumstances to change before you change your inner picture. You must change your inner picture before the circumstances can change. This is the sequence. This is the divine order of things. Inner first, outer second, always, without exception. Every single time. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke about the law of non-resistance with great depth and reverence because she understood that fighting your circumstances with the energy of resistance is one of the surest ways to perpetuate them. What you resist persists. What you battle grows stronger. What you give your fearful, anxious, fighting attention to, you feed with the creative energy of your consciousness, and you make more real. But what you bless, what you release, what you hold in the light of divine love, and speak about with the language of transformation, these things dissolve, these things shift, these things change. The non-resistant approach to life is not passivity, it is not weakness, it is not indifference. It is the most powerful stance a human being can take, because it withdraws the energy of resistance from the problem and redirects it entirely toward the solution. It stops feeding the monster and starts building the miracle. This is why she taught people to bless their enemies, to bless the situations that seemed most threatening, to bless the very things that appeared to be obstacles and limitations. Not because blessing is a nice spiritual gesture that makes you feel better for a moment, but because blessing is a creative act of the highest order. When you bless a situation, you are declaring its divine potential. When you bless a person who seems to be standing in your way, you are releasing the energy of conflict and allowing divine love to rearrange the relationship in accordance with the highest good of all concerned. When you bless a financial situation that looks desperate, you are opening the channel through which divine supply must flow, because you are removing the energetic obstruction of fear and anger and resentment that was blocking it. Blessing is not passive. Blessing is transformative. Blessing is the most active spiritual work you can do. Now, let us speak about the divine timing of manifestation, because this is where so many people stumble. They speak their word, they hold their vision, they practice their faith, and then they wait. And then they keep waiting. And then the waiting turns to doubt, and the doubt turns to resignation. And they say, I tried that, and it did not work. But Florence Scovel Shinn was clear. There is a divine timing to every manifestation, and your job is not to manage that timing, but to trust it. Your job is not to figure out how long it should take, or what the steps should be, or which door should open first. Your job is to know, with the unshakable knowing of your superconscious mind that what God has promised, God will perform, that what has been spoken in faith will be fulfilled in form, that the seed of your word, planted in the soil of your faith, will sprout and grow and bear fruit at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right way, for exactly the right reasons. And your job while you wait is not passive resignation but active trust, active gratitude, active joyful expectation, acting as if, moving in the direction of your vision, taking the inspired action that your intuition points you toward, living in the consciousness of the already received. This is the principle she called acting as if, not acting dishonestly, not pretending in a way that is disconnected from your inner reality, but choosing to behave, to speak, to carry yourself, to make decisions from the consciousness of your good already manifested. When you act as if you are already the prosperous person you know yourself to be in the divine design, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning yourself with the truth. You are standing in the reality of the invisible before it has appeared in the visible. You are declaring by your behavior and your attitude and your choices that you believe your word more than you believe the appearance. And this is the act of faith that releases the miracle. This is the step over the water that causes the water to hold. Consider the great stories of demonstration that Florence Scovel Shinn cited throughout her teachings. The woman who needed money and was told by her practitioner to go buy new gloves because acting from prosperity consciousness rather than poverty consciousness was the key that would unlock the flow of supply. And she went, in her faith, and she bought the gloves, and the money came from an unexpected source, exactly as needed. These were not coincidences. These were the law in operation. These were the precise, mathematical, unerring response of the universe to a shift in consciousness. When the woman moved from the vibration of scarcity clutching her money in fear, unable to spend even on small necessities, to the vibration of abundance, freely spending on herself from the consciousness that supply was flowing, she changed her signal. She changed the frequency she was broadcasting. And the universe, faithful to the law, changed what it was returning to her. This is the demonstration Florence Scovel Shinn spent her entire career pointing toward. Not the demonstration of willpower, not the demonstration of effort, not the demonstration of self-improvement or positive thinking disconnected from spiritual law, the demonstration of consciousness, the demonstration of the Word made flesh, the demonstration of faith as a living, breathing, active force that moves mountains and fills empty vessels and opens closed doors and transforms desert places into rivers of living water. You must also understand what she taught about your intuition, because your intuition is your direct line to the divine guidance that will lead you step by step into the full manifestation of your divine design. Florence Scovel Shinn called it your hunch, your divine hint, your moment of knowing that comes not from your reasoning mind, but from the deep well of your superconscious awareness. And she was absolute in her teaching that you must follow it. Not analyze it, not debate it, not run it by a committee of fearful voices in your head. Follow it. Act on it quickly. Trust it completely. Because your intuition is God's way of giving you the next right instruction, the next right turn, the next right door to walk through. And every time you honor it, every time you follow the divine hint with immediate, cheerful, trusting obedience, you deepen your connection to the source of all guidance, and you accelerate the manifestation of your good. But when you argue with it, when you rationalize past it, when you let the voice of fear or reason or other people's opinions drown it out, you delay your demonstration. You slow the arrival of your good. You make the path longer and more winding than it needs to be. Not because God is punishing you, but because you are refusing the guidance that would have shortened the journey. The path to your divine design is already clear and mapped and lit. Your intuition is the lantern. Follow it. Now there is something deeply important that must be said about the nature of your divine inheritance, because so many people have been taught, in ways both overt and subtle, that they are not worthy of great good. They have been taught that suffering is spiritual, that sacrifice is holy, that poverty is humble, that abundance is suspicious, that prosperity is the reward of the greedy, and that a truly spiritual person wants little and expects less. Florence Scovel Shinn swept this poisonous teaching off the table with the authority of one who knew the truth and refused to apologize for knowing it. She declared without hesitation that poverty is a sin, not in the sense of moral failure, but in the sense of falling short of the divine standard. God, infinite intelligence, the source of all good, is not poor. Creation itself is a demonstration of lavish, overflowing, magnificent, generous, unstoppable abundance. Look at the flowers in the field. Look at the stars in the sky. Look at the grains of sand. Look at the cells in a single leaf. Abundance is the fundamental nature of the universe. Scarcity is a lie, an illusion, a program installed by fear, perpetuated by the closed mind, maintained by the careless word and the fearful thought. You were not created for poverty. You were not created for sickness. You were not created for loneliness and rejection and failure and barely enough. You were created in the image of the living God, who is infinite, inexhaustible, abundant, creative, generous, powerful, and free. And your divine birthright is to express that image fully and completely in every area of your life. Health is your birthright. Prosperity is your birthright. Love is your birthright. Creative expression is your birthright. Guidance and wisdom and perfect ideas and right relationships and open doors, these are all your birthright. Not rewards to be earned. Not gifts for the specially selected. Your natural inheritance as a child of the Most High God. The only question is whether you will accept your inheritance or continue to refuse it by speaking the language of scarcity, by holding the images of limitation, by agreeing with the testimony of lack, by allowing the voices of the world to convince you that less is all you were meant for. But today, the invitation is before you. You can accept your inheritance now. You can say yes to the fullness of your divine design now. You can begin to speak the language of abundance and faith and certainty and joy now. Not when things get better, not when the outer picture changes. Now, from the inside, from the place of divine knowing, from the superconscious throne of your highest self, where the truth of your magnificence has never been dimmed and the supply of your good has never been interrupted. Florence Scovel Shinn also taught with great emphasis about the law of love, and this law must be woven into everything else, because all the affirmations, and all the faith, and all the right words spoken without love are, as Paul said, as sounding brass and tinkling cymbal. Love is the great conductor of all divine substance. Love is the lubricant of all divine law. Love is the frequency on which all of your good travels to you. When you are in the vibration of love, you are in alignment with the source. When you are broadcasting love, you are attracting love in return. When you hold love for every person in your life, even those who have seemed to work against you, even those who have wronged you, even those who have closed doors and withheld opportunities and spoken badly about you, when you hold them in love, you are releasing them from the role they played in your limitation. You are cutting the cords that tied your good to their behavior. You are declaring your independence from the need for any particular person's cooperation for your good to flow. This is one of the most liberating truths Florence Scovel Shinn ever spoke. Your good does not depend on any person. It does not depend on whether this employer hires you, whether this investor funds you, whether this person loves you back, whether this authority figure approves of you. Your good comes from God, from infinite intelligence, from the inexhaustible source of all supply. And God can reach you through 10,000 channels. God can open doors through the most unexpected and unimaginable people and circumstances. And when you are in the consciousness of love rather than the consciousness of fear or resentment or need, you make yourself completely available to all of them. You become magnetic. You become a walking, breathing, radiating center of divine attraction. And life, which had perhaps seemed to flow away from you before, begins to flow abundantly toward you. This is why she taught people to release their apparent enemies with blessings. This is why she instructed her students to speak with love about the people and situations they most feared. Not as an emotional exercise in false positivity, but as a precise spiritual technology for clearing the channel, for removing the energetic blocks, for allowing the divine current to move freely and bring the good that was already prepared. Every ounce of resentment you release is an ounce of supply that can now flow to you. Every bit of fear you surrender is a door that can now open. Every critical thought you replace with a loving one is a wall that comes down and a path that is cleared. And let us speak now about what Florence Scovel Shinn called the divine selection, because this is crucial to your liberation. She taught that God's plan for you is always better than your plan for yourself. Always. Without exception. The thing you think you want, the specific form you think your good must take, the particular person or job or circumstance you have decided is your blessing often. What God has prepared for you is so much greater that if you could see it now, you would weep with joy and gratitude that your smaller desire was not fulfilled. This is not a reason to stop desiring. Desire is the language of the soul. Desire is how God shows you the direction of your divine design. But it is a reason to hold your specific desires loosely, to pursue them with faith and joy, while simultaneously remaining completely open to the possibility that the divine fulfillment might arrive in a form even better than you imagined. Behold, I do a new thing, says the Lord. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? The new thing God does is rarely the thing you mapped out in your strategy session. It is better, it is wiser, it is more complete. It serves not just your desire but your destiny. It blesses not just you but the people around you and the generations that will come after you. When you trust the divine selection, when you say, this or something better, God, your will be done in the most magnificent and perfect way. You release the infinite intelligence of the universe to give you the best possible version of your good, rather than the limited version your human mind could conceive. This is what Florence Scovel Shinn meant when she spoke of the royal road to health, wealth and love and perfect self-expression. Not a road of effort and struggle and self-will and forcing and fighting. A royal road. A road built by divine hands, made smooth by divine love, lit by divine wisdom, and leading with absolute certainty to the full and magnificent expression of everything God designed you to be. You are invited to walk this road. You are invited onto it right now. And the entrance requirement is not perfection. It is not spiritual achievement. It is not a certain level of education or background or circumstance. The entrance requirement is simply this: the decision to trust. The decision to trust God more than you trust your fear. The decision to trust your word more than you trust appearances. The decision to trust the invisible more than the visible. The decision to trust the law more than the limitation. This decision is yours to make in every moment. And every time you make it, every time you choose faith over fear, abundance over scarcity, love over resentment, trust over anxiety, you walk further down the royal road. You move deeper into the territory of your divine design. You come closer to the full, magnificent, extraordinary expression of the life that has been waiting for you since the beginning of time. Florence Scovel Shinn often said, "You will be criticized, but you will find a rainbow." The rainbow is the promise. The promise is certain. The promise was made before the world began, written in the invisible substance of eternity, and it has your name on it. You will encounter rain. You will encounter the darkness of the cloud. You will have moments when the outer picture looks nothing like what you have been declaring and holding in faith. But the rainbow is coming. Your demonstration is coming. Your good is coming. And it is coming, not in spite of the darkness, but often directly through it, because it is in the darkness that your faith proves itself real, that your trust moves from intellectual assent to genuine spiritual knowing, that you graduate from believing in the law when things are going well, to trusting in the law when everything seems to contradict it. And that graduation is everything. That is when you become truly powerful. That is when you become truly unshakable. That is when you become what Florence Scovel Shinn called a game changer. A person whose consciousness is so clear, whose faith is so steady, whose word is so consistent that the universe cannot help but respond quickly and abundantly, because you are no longer sending mixed signals. You are no longer vacillating between faith and fear, between your affirmation and your argument, between your vision and your doubt. You are single, you are clear, you are steady. And the universe, which is always reading your dominant signal, responds to that steadiness with breathtaking speed and generosity. You are a manifesting being. You cannot stop manifesting any more than the sun can stop shining or the ocean can stop moving. The only question is what you are manifesting, whether you are doing it consciously or unconsciously, whether you are doing it from faith or from fear, whether you are creating by divine law or by default. And the answer to that question is determined moment by the words you speak, the thoughts you dwell on, the inner pictures you hold, the feelings you cultivate, the God you choose to trust. Choose now. Choose the God who says your supply is unlimited. Choose the God who says your healing is already done. Choose the God who says your right place is seeking you. Choose the God who says your good is coming now, that your demonstratin' is this day, that your rainbow is rising behind the very cloud that seemed most threatening. Choose the law of faith over the law of fear. Choose the word of abundance over the word of lack. Choose the image of your divine design over the image of your present limitation. Choose, in this moment, to believe what God says about you more than you believe what the world has shown you. Choose to be a conscious creator, a divine manifester, a walking demonstration of what happens when a human being stops fighting against the law and starts working with it, stops running from their good and starts receiving it, stops doubting their divine design and starts walking boldly into it. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "The secret of life is not to have everything you want, but to want and to use everything you have. Use your faith. It is there, in you, waiting to be activated. Use your word. It is powerful beyond your current understanding. Use your imagination. It is the creative womb from which your new world will be born. Use your love. It is the highest frequency available to a human being, and it will transform everything it touches. Use your intuition. It is God's voice speaking directly to your spirit. Use your gratitude. It is the magnet that draws your good with irresistible force. Use every spiritual tool you have been given. Use them daily. Use them consistently. Use them boldly. Use them with joy. And then stand back and watch what the living God, the infinite intelligence that loves you with a love that surpasses all understanding, the divine source that has been preparing your good since before you were born, the eternal goodness that never sleeps and never fails and never runs out and never gives up on you. Stand back and watch what this God will do when you finally, fully, joyfully, decisively release yourself into trust and allow the royal road to carry you home to the life you were always meant to live. You were made for this. You were made for the fullness. You were made for the abundance. You were made for the demonstration. You were made to be a living, breathing, walking, speaking proof that God is good and that divine law works and that faith is the most powerful force in the universe and that the spoken word of a conscious creator is a wand of infinite possibility. Go now and speak your good into being. Go now and hold your vision steady. Go now and trust the timing. Go now and bless everything in your path. Go now and release every fear that tries to attach itself to your spirit. Go now and walk as the royal child of the infinite that you have always been. Go now and receive the demonstration. Go now and live in the consciousness of your already manifested good. Go now in faith and do not look back. Your rainbow is rising. Your supply is flowing. Your doors are opening. Your perfect life is coming to meet you on the royal road of faith. Walk toward it. Walk boldly. Walk joyfully. Walk with the certainty of one who knows the law and trusts the God who made it. And as Florence Scovel Shinn declared for all who dared to truly hear, Infinite Spirit, Open the way for great abundance for me. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. I now draw to me my own. My own comes to me now, under grace, in perfect ways. So be it, and so it is.